Oi, Trismo here. Today we're gonna talk about crystals. Crystals, as in crystals in-game. To do this, I would like to use our secret weapon. Because the secret weapon is gonna give an overview that you otherwise not get. Now, the secret weapon, what the heck is that? Is a notepad. When it comes to crystal builds, there is 3 different versions that I think that is worth to mention. There is the budget build of a crystal build, and then there is the human damage crystal build. Then there is the average crystal build. Let's start with the budget build first. Let's start in the main hand. The main hand is on the top of the list, so we take that one first. I would go with the black magic crystal position. The reason for this is because you still get the accuracy and you still get the ignore all resistance, and you can use this almost as good as the expensive L cards. The sub weapon, the corrupted magic crystal is really good, but it's not really budget, so I'm gonna use the budget version of that crystal, which is this one. The magic crystal of infinity critical hit, I use this because it's cheap. You get the important stat of this corrupted magic crystal by using the budget version of it. You get the critical hit damage, so that is your choice for your offhand. And for the awakening weapon in your budget build, most people in the budget build doesn't have a Gamma's Heart, and if you do, I advise you to sell it. But if you happen to have it and you want to keep it, what I would do is that I wouldn't use any of these 2 crystals. They are very, very good, yes, but I would go into versatile. Versatile means you can put them into any build that you want, and then I would take whatever you feel like you need the most. There is some alright crystals in here, but they are not too good. What I would do if I were to in a budget build and I had a Gamma's Heart for some odd reason, I would go with the damage reduction, because damage reduction, you can always use damage reduction. But if you have this and you're using budget build, I would probably sell that Gamma's Heart to gain more gear. The helmet for the budget build is pretty decent. The budget build of the Harpia is this one, the Ancient Magic Crystal Harpia. This would be my go-to crystal I would suggest you to use. Your budget version of an armor crystal. So what I suggest you to do is either use Ancient Magic Crystal Cobalinos or use the armor version down here. This one gives you damage reduction. You can also go for the HP recovery or the mana recovery. Those 2 are an option. But I would personally go with the Ancient Magic Crystal Cobalinos up here, because it gives you weight limit, and while you are leveling, that weight limit is gonna feel really good to have. So in the budget build, Ancient Magic Crystal Cobalinos would be my go-to. On to the gloves. The gloves crystals is one of the most important crystals in the entire game. What I advise you to do is to use the black magic crystal position. I would use this because accuracy and grapple resistance. You can also go even more budget and go down to magic crystal of infinity precision that just gives you accuracy. These crystals is hard to get though, because they are very, very popular. But if you can, get the black magic crystal precision, because you get the most important stat of the good crystal in a budget version. Down to the shoes. This is where I would choose to spend a bit more money. What I would advise you to do is, in a budget version, I would use maybe black magic crystal Hysteria, because it's gonna give you some decent stats. The weight limit is gonna feel good for you. The max stamina is gonna feel alright. It's not the big difference. But if you don't want to spend that much in a budget build on a crystal, then I suggest you to get the Ancient Magic Crystal Hysteria down here. This crystal is way more cheaper. You still get the weight limit and you get 1 move speed. It's not the best crystal in the world. I would choose this one up here to get the stamina with it, because the stamina, I don't know, I'm a ranger, I use a lot of stamina, so I would take this one. If you don't spend a lot of stamina, if you play like Elan or something, then I would not go for this one. I would go for this one down here, because you don't need that stamina. You're not gonna run out anyway. So Ancient Magic Crystal Hysteria is the one that I would suggest people, because I know there is a lot of classes that doesn't use that much stamina. This build is gonna overall give you almost the same stats as the more expensive builds it's gonna give you. Most of the crystals is a budget version of their big crystal, so you still get almost the same stat. Let's go down to the human crystal damage. Human damage crystal build is a crystal build I advise people who get to the late game and want to try to have a little bit more damage. Let's go with the main hand. The human damage crystal build is gonna get a hell lot more expensive than the other build that we were talking about before, the main hand. Let's start in main hand. I will use the crystal of Elkar. Crystal of Elka gives you accuracy, it gives you ignore all resistance. This is two very important stats when it comes to PvP. Now, down to the sub-weapon. The sub-weapon, I will use the Corrupted Magic Crystal. This one. The Corrupted Magic Crystal is going to give you a lot of critical hit damage. It's going to give you a little bit of hidden AP. And the minus damage reduction is not that bad. The critical hit damage is absolutely good. Down to the Awakening weapon. When it comes to a PvP build, it's very obvious you would want the crystal in your Awakening weapon, which is going to give you human damage. When you get to this point where you want to use this kind of build, you should have a Gamma's Heart in your Awakening weapon. So I suggest you, if you don't have it, you should get it so you can use this crystal because it's really good. Down to the helmet. The helmet, I suggest you to use the red battlefield crystal Harpia. This one gives you human damage and it gives you HP. Down to the armor piece, it's gonna be the red battlefield crystal Copelinus. It's gonna give you 5 human damage for each one of them. It's gonna give you HP. It's gonna give you weight limit. The weight limit is not important here. It doesn't matter at all. There is 0 on the marketplace. Again, this one is the hardest one on EU servers to pre-order. It's gonna take you a long time to get them. So maybe I suggest you look into how to make them. You gotta kill monster. Down to the gloves. The gloves is the crystal that I think is the most important crystal in the entire game. It gives you so much accuracy. Tin Magic Crystal Viper is without a doubt the best crystal in your gloves. 20 whooping accuracy by equipping this crystal, and you can do that 2 times. Down to the shoes. The shoes in the human damage crystal build is gonna be, you guessed it, human damage. Maybe not. There's 2 different options for you to go here. There is the red battlefield crystal Hysteria that gives you human damage, obviously, and then there is the red battlefield crystal Adamantine. Adamantine crystals is gonna give you a lot of CC resist. This crystal is absolutely godlike if you ask me. I use it myself on my ranger. I have it on right now, and I don't think I'm ever gonna take them away again because I am gonna miss the knockdown resistance, especially the knockdown resistance. It gives you a lot of resistance to a lot of CC, and it's gonna save your ass in PvP a lot of times. Now, what would I suggest between these two? The red battlefield crystal Hysteria or the red battlefield crystal Adamantine? I think it's a close run. I would actually give it a, you can choose yourself. What I'm gonna do here is that I'm gonna write Hysteria here, and I'm gonna make a slash Adamantine because the Adamantine crystal is just too good not to mention. Let's go to the average build. The average build is more of the guy that is grinding to get to the end game. Let's start in the main hand. It's the crystal of Elkar that's gonna take the main hand because it's simply too good. Sub weapon crystal. Sub weapon crystal. You can experiment with the new crystals here. I have not yet tried them. For now, I suggest you to go with the Corrupted Magic Crystal. Down to the Awakening. When you get to this point, I suggest you get into looking for a Gamma's Heart if you don't have one. What you want to use of these two, it depends what you want. It's not even guaranteed that you want to use these 2 crystals in your Gamma's Heart because you might as well use your Hooms. Personally, I would probably go with the monster damage. Let's go down to Helmet. The Helmet is a little bit different because the Helmet is not the best crystals out there. It's more of an evasion. It gives you all evasion plus 20. That's a lot of evasion. If you play an evasion class, do that. If you play DR, I would not do that. This is kind of the crystal slot where I always go for the versatile Hooms. The versatile Hooms is a crystal that you need 4 of, and you're gonna find 4 places in your entire crystal build for these crystals. Now, going down to the armor piece. For the armor piece, I would use the Jin Magic Crystal Copelinus. It gives you so many good stats. It gives you HP, weight limits is decent. Damage reduction is absolutely glorious. Now, if you don't want to use this, I could also suggest you to use Hooms in your armor. The reason why I write potential Hooms behind it is because there is a build where you want to use Hooms in your armor piece. Now, I'm gonna get back to this soon. The gloves version of the average build. For the gloves crystal, I will go for the Jin Magic Crystal Viper because the goddamn accuracy is way too good. Going down to the shoes, you can go for the Jin Magic Crystal Hysteria, but I would also suggest you to maybe consider the Adamantine because the Adamantine in grind spot is not as important. It's not, but if you can dodge a CC at a grind spot, if you're low DP and you grind somewhere where they hit hard, these crystals can save your life and potentially crystals. If you don't, then I would suggest you to go for Jin Magic Crystal Hysteria or Hooms. It depends what you want. I want to talk a little bit about the Hooms because the Hooms crystals can go anywhere in all these pieces. and you need 4. If you want to go for the more PvP focused build in the average build, then I suggest you to use the hooms in your helmet and your arm. But if you want to do a little bit more of a PvE focused build, then I would use the hooms in my shoes and my helmet instead. Or you could, if you want to, you could also go for your hooms in your awakening weapon, because then you can keep the damage reduction in your armor. If there is any questions about my setup here, I'm gonna take this notepad here, I'm gonna put it in a picture, and then I'm gonna link it down below. And you choose what you want to do, I choose what I want to do. Have a good night, have a good day, thank you for watching, and remember, if you want to support me, subscribe button is right down there. It's down there somewhere. Down there. It's down there. Thank you.